What is up, my guys, and welcome back to the channel known as Azure. As always, I'm your most endearing host, Daniel, and followed almost as always by my co-host, or at least one of them.
Yeah, or back in the day, almost always, Julian.
Yep, there you go. There we go. And yeah, he's back and ready to go for this one because right now we're talking about basically one of his favorite shows. You want to give him the intro?
Yeah, 2 for 2. One of my favorite shows, Ed, and Eddy, back in the old 1999 to, let's see.
It was 2006.
2000,
no, 2007 actually.
2009, actually.
2009. Wow, 2009.
Yeah, that's why.
wow,
I was thinking
off by
2007, but no, you gotta remember the television movie came out in like 09.
Yeah. Yeah, I could remember like around that time I was grounded. Like I couldn't even watch the episode or the movie, so I had to remember like, wait, when did I get grounded? Because I got grounded a lot as a kid for dumb stuff I used to do.
Yeah, you gotta remember
So,
that like this show was the last bit of traditional animation, traditional cell.
that's what I was about to say, man. I was about to say like, yeah, this is the last bit of traditional, actual hand drawn to cell animation and stuff like that. So yeah, Ed and Eddie. Wow, that's a throwback and a half basically. It's like, goddamn, just thinking about that show takes me back to elementary school and everything.
Yeah,
Man.
cartoons.
So yeah, if you guys don't, so yeah, if you guys don't know what Ed and Eddie is, shame on you. First of all, shame on you because you guys should know this is fucking one of the best cartoon series in me and Julian's opinion, and a lot of people's opinion actually.
Yeah, at least in the era, definitely at least in the era.
Yep. So yeah, it was created by a guy named Dan Antonucci, which if you guys look at his previous work, I don't want to talk about that because that
don't you disrespect his name like that.
No,
Danny
no.
Antonucci.
Danny Antonucci. That's my fault. All right, I'll explain that, which is a real shame on me because my name's Daniel either way, so I should know that's Danny Antonucci. That's basically my nickname.
Yeah, but I want to give
sense.
some bit of a backstory on this before we even talk about like the full-on like production or story history, which is that this, you guys probably know it, but it's the whole, he made some really crazy animation back in the day. He actually did not care for children animation at all, and then a guy just told him as a bet, it's like, hey, I bet you can't make the kids show, and he's like, bet. And then Ed and Eddy came as a thing.
And that ran for 6 seasons in a TV movie.
10 years.
So, yep, goes to show like, yeah, he took that bet seriously and he won. That's safe to say he won that bet. So yeah, that's the thing. I don't really want to talk about Danny Antonucci's non-child friendly stuff because I've seen that shit. You probably don't care that much because I know you don't really get affected by that stuff. But I saw that shit when I was a kid, and I did not want to see that again.
Oh, same here. I love it though. Like, I actually get like, not like, it's not like nasty or gets me offended, but stuff like Ren and Stimpy, I feel sometimes could be in like bad taste. But like the stuff that Danny Antonucci does, I love it. I love the kind of stuff that he did back then too. It's so like macabre and like that's the thing why I'm bringing up here. I'll bring up some of that as references to like what's in the show itself, because like he got away with some pretty like crazy stuff that you can feel in those old cartoons, like the ones from before like 1999.
Yeah, he got away with a lot of shit back then. But yeah, like, see, you some kind of different freaky kind of shit, man. So yeah, that's why I knew you were gonna be like, yeah, you like that stuff, not in a bad way, but so yeah.
You make it sound like it's some weird like kink thing.
I mean, come on, anything can be a kink at this point, you know that. So yeah, Danny Antonucci made this show back in 1998 because of a bet some dude made. And so yeah, here we go. We got one of the best Cartoon Network shows of that era. So yeah, basically the whole story wraps around kids in a cul-de-sac. Basically, it follows the main 3 kids, Ed, and Eddy. Not really in that order. I think Eddie's more of a protagonist than the rest of the 2.
They're all protagonists in their own way, but definitely Eddy is the central. Honestly, in a sense, he's his own antagonist, but yeah, he's like the central focus of getting the ball rolling.
Because the show revolves around his everyday task to make a scam to get money for jawbreakers, because that shit's basically a crack and a half for these kids.
Yeah, I'd say like it's more like they're like the 3 musketeers in that sense. So like all of them are main characters, but there is I guess you could say more mania, however you would say that character, where it's like. Like in I guess the way I would use is a Mickey Mouse, like the Mickey Mouse 3 Musketeers, obviously. Like they're all main characters, but Mickey Mouse is the like most main character in that. So Eddy, in that sense, is the main character.
So yeah, Eddie's the main character. I want to say like Double D's maybe the second interesting one. It could be just Ed, but yeah, for me, Double D was always like my favorite. My favorite of the trio. Like even as a kid, like I respected Eddie for wanting to get that bag every episode, but Double D was always like my favorite.
You gotta
character.
respect
He did
the
have
hustle,
some points.
man. You gotta respect the
Yeah,
hustle.
that's why I said I respect Eddie's hustle. I respect the determination to get that bag every day. For me, Double D was always like my favorite. Not to say like I didn't hate him at sometimes in some episodes, like his antics would get in like not his antics, his compulsions will get in the way. Like, dude, what the fuck are you doing? Stop! You know these compulsions of yours are just bullshit. And like, so yeah, not to say like he doesn't have his faults, but out of the three, he was my favorite.
Yeah, for me, it was always Ed. Because he's just a force in nature. He's the wild card.
Yes.
It's the kind of thing where it's like, oh, what's he going to do now? And I mean, I guess I'll go a little bit in the episodes with that specifically. But that's why some of my favorite episodes is like the one where he gets a pebble in his shoes. And he's just like, what's going on with Ed? This is like crazy, man. And then like the sister's going crazy. Like, Ed, why are you? And then Ed just tells her, Sarah's like, shut up now. Like, I'm not in the mood, and she just immediately breaks down.
This is what it was. So the episode starts off with them watching a movie. Ed comes in because it's in his garage. He lifts all of them up, throws them out, tells them to go home and fuck off in a sense and stuff like that. And Sarah gets all in his face, said, "Ed, what are you doing? I live here too." Then Ed literally just fucking not pounces on her, but over yells at her, saying, he goes, "So move!" And Sarah's like, "Okay, Ed." Okay,
yeah, that's word for word. Yeah, that's the one. Or also the fact that he's able to like take on all like the strongest people with like
barely any effort at all.
Yeah, just because of a pebble. Or also the one where he becomes a monster, where it's just like he truly believes that he's a monster, and it just goes to town on like everyone.
The whole town, like literally, he pulls. It's basically a rip on Alien at that point. Like he doesn't kill them, but he captures them and puts them in like a cocoon state with their version of, I want to say, like Fruity Pebbles, which is Chunky Puffs. Yeah, that's the name of the cereal, Chunky Puffs. It's kind of like a mix between Trix and Fruit Loops because it's like fruity kind of thing, but they're spheres in a sense, like back when Trix made spheres in their cereal rather than fruit shapes.
Yeah, but I mean, it makes sense with his like, oh, I guess we're just getting into the full character now. Which, I mean, they are the three main, so we don't need to talk about the rest of the side characters so much, but like, that's the thing with Ed, is that the other reason I like him is that you kind of need to really watch the whole show to get his entire like thing, because he's not really fully an idiot, you could say. It's more like the circumstances he's in kind of makes him that, which is the whole like his parents didn't love him, like they wanted a daughter the whole time, they said he was a mistake and all this stuff. And I mean, for God's sake, the reason why he's so strong is that he doesn't have stairs in his like basement.
No, they do. He has stairs. It's just that when he gets grounded, his parents take away the stairs.
That's what I mean, but so he's always grounded, so really most of the time he probably doesn't have those stairs. So I mean, how is he supposed to get back up? He's got to jump that stuff.
He has to jump, he has to climb through the window, he's got to pull himself up. Basically, he lives in the basement of his own house. I was like, what the fuck? As a kid, I'm like, what the fuck is he doing living in the basement while Sarah has a fucking palace for a room? And like that. That goes to show like the whole, you heard about the theory behind this one, beside not the one where the kids are all dead, but the fact that the three Eds are ostracized because they're actually in some type of way abused by their parents or siblings, and like the rest of the kids can't really relate to them, so they're basically ostracized by the whole cul-de-sac. Have you heard that theory?
Yeah, well, the whole theory is definitely, it's definitely specifically Ed, Double D, and Eddy is like, Eddy. They have family issues. The other kids do too in some ways, but it's definitely like they have it the hardest, which is why they're the hardest to like really relate outside of Rolf. Like Rolf is probably the only one that really gives
two shits about the Eds.
Yeah, the time of day, which also can kind of almost relate to the fact that like Rolf is almost like a self-insert for the Antonucci himself. But yeah, like that's the thing with Ed is also the fact that like that's another reason why he's not so violent at all, is that it's like because of the whole fact that how he has to treat Sarah, and also just overall the way he gets treated is that, you know, he's able to be more like gentle and like calm and kind of just
he's more compassionate in a sense and everything like that. He's more going with the flow and not really wanting to like cause any waves in a sense between the whole friend groups or anything like that.
Yeah, and then you can talk about Eddy's like traumas and stuff if you wanna.
Yeah, because I'm just gonna break down the whole theory basically. Like the whole theory goes like Eddy gets physically abused by his brother, which is like is apparent in the actual big picture show where we actually see Eddy's brother and how he basically tortures him, in a sense, throwing him against the trailer, twisting his ankles, and so on and so forth. Double D's basically treated like a servant in a sense, where his parents leave sticky notes everywhere, saying like, do the laundry, clean the house, make sure everything gets done by the time we're home and everything like that. And Ed is basically just a product of neglect by his parents because, as you said, they always wanted a daughter, and so once they had Ed, they said, "Oh, you were a mistake, but we're not gonna get rid of you." So you just live in the basement and so on and so forth.
Yeah. Well, the other thing with Double D is also the fact that like it's also abandonment issues where it's like they're never there for him, and like they kind of almost like, what's it called? It's like, you know, like the whole thing with like test tube babies, and like sometimes the parents just have them for the sake of it, or just like it's like they want to keep their legacy, but they don't actually want to like raise them. It's like that's kind of how it is with Double D, and also why he's like, you know, when he finally gets to like school again, that's why he's like so stressed out and always like, I gotta get my A's and stuff. It's like because he has to be the best for them, because that's all they care about for him. They only care about him being like
smart. They only care about him being good grades, academically wise, and all that other stuff. So yeah, it's more so like the sense of being treated like a servant, but also in a sense like, oh, I have a name to live up to, in a sense, with his parents, even though his parents don't really want to put in the effort to actually raise him as a kid, really.
Yeah, in a sense of just like, that kind of like, you're just here
because we didn't want to adopt anyone, or they were just the lesser of two evils, in a sense.
Narcissism is a way. It's like they're narcissists. That's what the parents are there. Where like the other one is for like what's it called? Eddy's parents is just they didn't understand that like
his brother was beating the shit out of him, basically.
Could do that, and also is a whole thing where it's like they don't notice that kind of idea, which is also so like y'all have three different versions of how parents and siblings could really mess it up, because that's also why Sarah's a spoiled brat, is because the parents obviously
wanted a girl, and that's literally like she gets everything she wants because she's obviously the favorite, because that's what they wanted in the first place.
And she's also the youngest kid, so you could also say it's like the youngest child syndrome of like, oh no, we're gonna treat you like you could be as bad as you want to be, but you know, this guy, if he makes one single mistake, boom.
Yep, he gets the shaft, basically. So yeah, that's all. That's one of the two main theories that I've stumbled upon. Like the other one is basically like all the kids in the cul-de-sac are basically dead, and they died of different causes and different time periods. You've heard about that one, right?
Yeah, I don't like that one as much, because it's just the whole idea of like the whole, oh, what if they were in a coma kind of thing, and it's like anything could be in a coma, like literally anything could be that, or like what if everything was hyper realistic, like the Courage one where it's like it's just a dog's imagination. It's like, okay, like I get it, but it's not really that interesting outside just being like,
speaking of coma, like a lot of cartoons get that, like Pokemon gets that a lot. Fucking Adventure Time gets that very, very often. Back when it was on the air, like literally, like almost every other post I saw about Adventure Time was like, "Oh my god, he's in a coma. Oh my god, his dog laying next to him in a coma. That's why he's doing this." Like, dude, shut the fuck up. We get it. You think he's in a coma? Just think of something else.
Because it's not even like within the show's continuity or like hints to it. So it's like like with the abusive thing, like there are hints to that. There are like showings of like how the parents work, and the brother one especially is like that's not even like a theory, that's just happened, which is the whole like
the big picture show showing that it actually like is actually true and everything.
Well,
and Eddy even admits it at the end of the movie, saying like, everything he ever said about his brother was a big old lie just to get people to like him and stuff.
Yeah, well, even before that, it's the whole like the fear the cul-de-sac gets of just like with Kevin, like the only thing Eddy needs to say to Kevin to be like, hey, fuck off, is, hey, do you want me to say this to my brother? And then he's like, he gets like a cold sweat, like, you know, like some freaking Rambo type is just gonna come in and like kick his shit in, which I mean, with Eddy's brother's strength, he could have. Exactly,
like literally the only person that could possibly be on par with, or even close to being on par with Eddy's brother, would be Ed. Like that's just that.
Yeah, it's Ed, Rolf, and then also like all three Kanker sisters like combined can take on Eddy's brother.
Oh, speaking of the Kanker sisters are basically the way I'm gonna say is like they're gonna be crude, but it's kind of true. Basically, they're the Ed's rapist. That's it.
Yeah, I mean, literally in the Christmas cartoon, that is what happens.
Yeah, they rape him constantly in a sense.
Yeah, but
they do it in a kid-friendly way with just kissing and stuff like that, and annoying them.
Yeah, but I do also like that idea of like some like people similar to like the Eds and like the way they act. It's like that's the thing. They're like, oh no, we don't want to be around them, kind of thing. And also like, because they also have their own like kind of problems too, which is like it's why they act like that. With the whole like single mom.
Yeah, 3 different dads and everything like that. They live in the trailer park that's really fucking small.
Yeah, which means they had low income. They don't even go to school. What do they go to the school during?
No, they do.
Okay.
Yeah, they go to school.
Okay. So that it's not
just
that
like
bad.
most of the most of the stuff is basically like trashed compared to what people consider home decor and everything like that. Like literally, the most prized possession is an old ship in a bottle and an anchor.
Yeah, which means they're like near homeless in that kind of sense. Just like really like have it bad. So that's also why they probably even more ostracized, and that's also why no one wants to like deal with them. Well, they don't want others to deal with them too, with that kind of thing.
Yeah.
And I mean, they are a lot of the episodes are really fun though, and
yeah, with the cankers involved, like the whole reverse psychology episode, that was just a ride and a half for me. Like just to see like Double D and Ed, it's like give the cankers a taste of their own medicine and shit like that. That was funny. The only thing that was better was when they actually found out, oh, it's just an act because Eddie didn't have the balls to actually go through with the plan and shit.
Oh wait, another big theory that can be considered true too is what is it? The one that it's actually like a flashback. The whole show is a flashback to like when they're older and like thinking about the cul-de-sac. Because there's that one episode where they're old.
Oh yeah.
And it's like, Antonucci, like Danny, like get me out of this. Like I don't want to be here, right? Like he's talking to the writers themselves, and like that's where they cankers had a lot of babies with the Eds. And I do actually believe that it's like out of all the characters, the Eds would probably just go with the cankers by the end of it.
Yeah, that kind of makes sense. Like and like speaking of the Kanker sisters and Eddie's brother, like they even show like in a sense they're raping him, really, because if you go back to the big picture show, where Eddie involuntarily knocks out his brother with his own door, like they start dragging him into his trailer and like they're speaking of like having fun with him and stuff like that. Like, goddamn, they're gonna rape this guy too.
I think that was more just like they were gonna like fuck him up or like kind of like torture him. Yeah, because like they're in love with like the Ed, so the fact that like Eddie got fucked up was like you don't beat him up like that, like you don't torture him like that. So like they were gonna like teach him a lesson kind of thing, not like that. It could be. You could be right, but I always saw it more as like oh, you're not gonna be happy once you're done with this.
Yeah. Well, I mean, like, the only thing I say is because like the vibe that they put off when they were dragging him over and stuff like that. Like I get your point too, like how they're gonna torture him and stuff like that. But the vibe that they're putting off as they're dragging him and everything is all reminiscent of how they always dragged away the Eds when they were about to do what they were doing to him. So that's where I got it from. Really.
That could be. So, it's not like they ever directly said what they did to him.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, like, so what's it called? Like, oh yeah, I was about to say like the whole canker situation. Like, yeah, whenever I saw the cankers, I didn't really see them as big of a threat. Not really, like in a sense, like, nah, I didn't really mind seeing them. Like, do what they did. Like, I know how the whole thing was like, oh, if you were the Eds, you would want to stay away from the cankers as much as you want, or as much as you can. But whenever I saw them, I was like, fuck it, they could do that shit to me any day of the week.
Well, it's also just like, I mean, they're just there as like a monkey wrench, or like it's where it's like this is the setup for the show. This is how the episode's gonna go. And it's like boom, but Kanker sisters panic.
Yeah, like no, if there were Kanker sisters in real life that were literally like no, okay, I'm trying to word this right because I don't want to be seen as like some fucked up type shit. That's
well, I the one thing I'd say to make it easier is that like I don't know, a lot of the other kids on the cul-de-sac are pretty like douchey already. Like who's the one that's Sarah's friend again?
Jimmy.
Yeah, fuck Jimmy.
Fuck him. Yeah, fuck Jimmy. Like he plays the baby, but he's a fucking mastermind. It's just like the whole revenge episode. If you remember, like the friendship day, something like that, where Eddie gives him a wedgie and he like concocts this whole fucking scheme of getting revenge on all 3 Eds, even though Eddie was the main perpetrator of the actual act. It's like, fuck that dude. Like, what the fuck?
Who's the blonde one again? Who's the blonde girl?
Naz.
Yeah, so like the only ones that would be like cool to like like saying like if you're in that same situation as that, the only one that would be cool to hang out with in like a normal circumstances would be like Naz, Rolf, Plank, then Johnny. Plank has to be there for Johnny to be cool.
Yeah.
And then what is it? I guess you could say like it's like if you get a no Kevin, then it's fine. But yeah, with the Ed situation, you don't want Kevin because he's like a douche.
Yeah. No.
But like that's where the picture show. Once we talk like the whole thing with that, it's like once you get a no Kevin, then he's a cool guy.
Really, I never really got that because like throughout the most of the picture show, he's just mainly concerned about two things: his bike and revenge.
That's right, his bike. Yeah, you gotta respect a man who wants to treat his bike like that.
Mm-hmm. I respect him. Like I respect the fact that he treats his bike so well. Cause I make it a top priority to treat anything I get, like a life or death situation if I fuck shit up with that. So yeah, I respected that part, but like, I was like, I still kind of saw him as a dick.
Plus, he's a man of principles, and like it is true. Like he is the one that feel like some of the stuff that Eds do. Obviously, I mean it's cartoon, so it's not a big deal. But some of the stuff that Eds do are pretty like don't do this. You could like kill someone kind of thing. So Kevin's there to be like, dude, like, what the fuck are you doing? Like, it's dangerous.
Well, no, like mostly like I think like the stuff that sticks with me like was when he found out what Eddie's middle name was, like Skipper and everything like that. And he's like, oh, do whatever the fuck I want, or I'm gonna fucking tell you. And like, even when Eddie does do whatever he wants, he ends up being a bitch and tells the cul-de-sac like his middle name is Skipper. Like, what the fuck, man? That's just a bitch move and a half. Like, fuck you for that shit. I'd beat the shit out of you myself if I could.
But think about it. We're talking about fuck what Sarah's friend is. Jimmy. Think about it. Jimmy is the same, but he doesn't even have any principles.
Yeah, like fuck Jimmy. Fuck Jimmy sideways and just fuck Kevin in regular.
Just a little. I feel like that's the thing. Is like it's more like as long as you're not on his like bad side, then he's like fine. Yeah.
Okay, fine. Here's what this. Jimmy could go suck a dick while getting fucked by a 12-inch black dildo, while Kevin could just get a light peg. The thing with with Kevin, it's like it's like you need to get his respect kind of thing, right? He's like he's not gonna respect everyone. And so that's why at the end of the movie he's like, you know what, you dorks, like you're cool with me now, because they finally got that respect. Yeah, I'll say this though, like Kevin's not all bad to all the Eds. He is mentioned most of the time, like he hates Eddie the most, but Ed's okay, and he likes Double D the best. That's how it is. So
it's really just because of Eddie that like Kevin doesn't like the three of them in general too. So that's the kind of thing. And like a lot of people have friends like that where it's like, you two are cool, but since you're with that other person, it's like
Like it's kind of like sus in a sense, like I don't really want to hang out with you, but it's like fine, it's fine with me, like stuff like that.
Yeah, it's that kind of thing. But I mean, really, like I said, it's really Rolf and Nas are the only two that are actually worth it all, because they're like always chill. It's like it's only when the Eds actually finally fully fuck up something that they're like, hey, like that's not cool, like don't do that. Especially with Rolf, like the Eds fuck up Rolf so many times, but every time, even to the end of the season. Like the end of the sixth season, like he's still like cool with them usually. Exactly,
like the whole like farming episode, like where he hires Ed to be an nincompoop. Remember that one?
Yeah, I remember that one.
And like they basically wreck shop in his place, and like the same thing too when Rolf lets Ed stay in his work shed, and like literally Eddie and Double D are just wrecking shop in his house and everything like that, and Rolf's just fucking pure hospitality because of his culture. So like, yes, you can do whatever you want. Just stay in the shed until the breaking point where he fucks them up just because he can't take it anymore. Like it literally took fucking days for him to say like fuck you and get the fuck out of my shed and stuff like that.
Well, it's also the kind of thing that he's like, oh, you did me wrong, but as long as I mess you up once, we're cool afterwards. The biggest example is like when Rolf got fully pissed off, which was like the whole I want to beat you with this shoe and this fish.
Oh yeah, that one. Like, it wasn't a shoe. He just beat him with the fish. Yeah,
it was with the fish. But like, the thing is that like, afterwards, like he was cool with him. He's like, okay, I fucked you up, but like we're cool now.
Then, because he got his honor back.
Yeah, and a man of principles. That's what you need. You need principles, and that's nothing that Nas got. They got principles. That's why Jimmy. I don't know what's up with. What's up?
Wait. You said Nas. It's Nas.
Oh, Nas.
Yes.
I'm thinking of
you think of Nas like the fucking rapper,
Nas.
yeah.
Yeah, but what is it?
It's Nas.
Yeah, Nas is gonna do a new rap album. Oh god. But anyways, yeah. But with Jimmy, right? Like that's the example. What's up with Jimmys in like cartoons, man? They're always like the most fucking self-absorbed pricks.
Yeah, like fucking take what's it called? Scary Godmother, like the main character's cousin's name is Jimmy. He's a douche throughout both movies, except for the ending of the second movie. Like what the fuck, man? Why you gotta be such a dick? Just because your name is Jimmy, you don't want to be a Jimmy.
You don't want to be a Jimmy, do you? Or like, what is it? There's that famous meme with the Jimmy Neutron was the fast food thing where it's like, oh, it's actually it's sodium chloride. It's like, hey, dude, this is like this is a restaurant, a fast food place. You can't do that, and I have to fire you. You're a good dude, but it's like, Jimmy's like kind of an asshole about it, and it's like if it was real life, you get fired on the spot.
I think this is what it is. Like, it's the whole thing with Chip and Jimmy. Like, dude, you missed a spot of salt. And he's like, no, it's like, oh, some sodium chloride. It's like, then Chip goes like, dude, it's salt. And Jimmy's like, that's what I said, sodium chloride. It's like, and the whole outro goes and like, yada yada yada. No, this is not salt. So this is not sodium chloride. Sodium chloride is a chemical composition. This has salt has actual other chemicals in it that gives it its flavor and its stability. And the fact that you're actually calling it sodium chloride proves that you're a narcissistic asshole who wants to sound smart, but in reality, you don't really know what the fuck you're talking about.
Yeah.
So yeah, just basically put him in his place.
But there's also the part where he says like the reason why it has to be on the register is to make sure the kitchen gets the order right.
Mm-hmm.
So he's like, yeah, it's like that kind of thing. But I mean, Jimmy Neutron's okay usually most of the time character-wise. But like Jimmy and Eddy, maybe we could just make a whole episode of just about every single thing. This is why the only Jimmy episode I like is when he becomes a sumo. Because that's when he gets like fucked up mostly. Or also the one where like what is it? The Eds go like cosmic and like is the one episode where Rolf does like the life has many doors thing.
Oh yeah, I remember that. Where they kind of break reality in a sense, and they break the fourth wall, and they don't break the fourth wall. They fucking demolish the fourth wall in a sense. Yeah. Where Eddy basically eats the sun, takes out Jimmy's outline. He turns into a fucking puddle. So I was like, yeah, fuck Jimmy. That's fucking awesome.
Yeah, man, I could. Who's the other character? Yeah. Is that all the characters? Are we missing one? We're forgetting.
So we talked about Johnny for a second when we Plank. We only mentioned them, so if you want to talk
about Plank is the best. I love Plank as a character, man.
Plank's fucking alive, that's it. Just Plank's alive at this point. Like, he's not even a fucking piece of wood, he's alive. That's it. One
of the biggest example is during what is it? The Big Picture show where it's like, where's Plank? And he's the one driving the car.
Mm-hmm. Oh, the bus, actually.
Oh, the bus, yeah. He's like, Plank! Plank! And it's just boom.
He's fucking driving the fucking bus. Another example would be like when Eddy's trying to get $5 out of Plank by showing him through roller coaster after roller coaster after ride and everything like that. Plank just pulls some sneaky bullshit, gets them on the roller coaster, and turns it on himself. I was like, what the fuck is up with this wood? It's fucking sadistic, and I like it because it's fucking amazing. That piece of wood outsmarted 3 people. Oh, 2.5 if you really want to count Ed.
Yeah. Oh, do you also remember the one that's like, what is it? Sarah originally had like the crush on Double D for a bit.
No, there's still hints of that throughout the series.
Yeah, but in the original, like she was like nursing him back to health kind of stuff.
That's because she and Jimmy were playing doctors. That's why.
True.
I remember the first instance was when Double D found a flower and gave it to Sarah, and while she was playing hopscotch with Jimmy, and Jimmy fucked with Eddy fucked with Jimmy by erasing most of the outline. So I was like, yeah, fuck Jimmy, leave him there. While Sarah left to go follow Double D.
Yeah, but
so yeah, that was the main interest.
Oh, sorry.
No, I was just saying like, yeah, that was the main instance. But then there were parts where you see like where Sarah's sick and she only allows Double D and Jimmy to be in the room taking care of her in a sense.
Oh yeah, I remember that one.
It's sprinkled around here, so it's just the main focus was that one episode. That's all it was.
Yeah, then there was also the fact, yeah, but that's also, that was honestly part of the reason why when people say like, oh, the blue canker sister should be with Double D, and it's like, I don't know, the kind of thing with like that kind of stuff, but it's like, yeah, considering his only other option is like Sarah, it's like, yeah, I guess the blue canker sister's better than that.
Yeah, like, to me, like, again, like the canker sisters, they weren't really that bad in my opinion. Like, again, like, if they were actually in real life and I was actually one of the Ed boys, I wouldn't mind that shit. Like, legit, I wouldn't mind having a canker sister, like, not really terrorize me in the sense I wouldn't see it that way, but like be enthralled with me, I would say, like that. Not really being like that. Like, I'll be enthralled back with one of them, except for the redhead, because that one really annoyed me a lot.
That's the only one where you're like, oh fuck, I don't want to like deal with this kind of thing. Okay.
Yeah, I want to deal with the redhead. Mainly, in order, the canker sisters goes blue hair, yellow hair, then redhead.
Wait, what about Sarah then? What's your opinion? Like, you know, if that kind of thing, would you just be like also really annoyed by that?
Not really, because growing up with like little siblings and everything, like I get the whole infatuation with people and everything like that. I understand the whole point of being followed around by little siblings, so I can't really it's not really like the same thing, but I also get what it was, where he's coming from, or what Sarah's doing early.
Oh man, I could not deal with like a character like Sarah as like a person in real life. That would just be like immediately try to find any way to like get away from that kind of thing. Yeah.
I mean, yeah. Well, so back to the cankers. Like, yeah, I wouldn't mind. I always like say, yeah, Double D got the better of the three canker sisters, when Eddie got the second best, and Eddie just got fucked over completely by the cankers because he got the redhead. I'm gonna say the names. Fuck it. The blue hair is Marie, yellow hair is May, and red hair is Lee. There you go.
Lee. Or well, I guess I ended up with the big picture. Just only talk about that part. That's a perfect ending to the show. A lot of cartoons fuck up their endings completely. This was like you couldn't make it better if you tried. Just like everything, all the characterization, the reason why it's such a big deal because it's their biggest mess up where everyone's injured and they look like they should be in the hospital kind of stuff. Even for cartoons.
The only drawback I would say from that thing was what they did to Johnny, in a sense. Like he was fine, just trying to find a way to get the Eds back as the melon head and everything. But and he was fine for getting beaten up afterwards. But just the whole drop off of him being like, oh, Captain Gorge shit, whatever the fuck, the end credit scene. I was like, what the fuck? You're just gonna introduce this shit and like drop it within the same minute? Like, that's fine and everything, but it could have been done better for Johnny.
Yeah, Johnny's definitely a real one, but also just like the scene with like the whole is a loneliness really with the whole Double D's leaving and it's like, don't even talk to me, like I'm leaving, I don't want to deal with. I forget why he got so pissed again outside of just like all the situations they got into at that point, but then you just finally see Eddie crying and being like, no, don't leave me, and you finally see Eddie being like, I need you, like you two are like, it's like I need that.
Give a shit about me.
Yeah, and then like so when Double D comes back, it's like, oh man.
Yeah, that hit me right in the feels. That was beautiful.
Yeah, which also shows with Ed, like the original Ed, that he's the most like, in a weird way, he's the most like emotionally sound since he's able to kind of be a bit more of a like, what's it called?
Just their like emotional support in a sense type
he's
thing.
more of like a rock, right, where like he understands both sides kind of, but he's still sticking with like Eddie. He's like, if both of them left, right, it'd be like, whoa.
Yeah, that'd just be like, oh shit, there's nothing I can do. It'd be like the whole situation with his parents all over again. Be like, yep, they left me and they don't care about me anymore, so gotta do what I can to keep the group together in a sense.
Yeah, that's why it really shows like the dynamics of like kind of like, because it is true, the biggest conflicts between the Eds is Double D and Eddie, right? So it was like that was a powder cake where like with Ed, he's the kind of guy who was like, hey, I'm just here to chill, man. Yeah.
Honestly, this show has almost no faults to it. If anything, like the only thing that messed me up was like the animation in the early seasons. So it was good. Like, it wasn't the best, but it was still good. Like the only thing was like I couldn't really focus that much because like everything was all shaky in a sense. Like the lines were while they were there, they weren't still like how they are in most cartoons. But so I didn't really mind it all that much. So
yeah,
that's the only fault I really had about the show.
Yeah, the thing is, the only thing is also with the show is like, man, the beatdown Eddie gets from his brother is like.
Oh yeah, that was kind of tough to watch.
Like it almost gets like realistic. What? It's weird because it's like heightened cartoons, but also realism in a weird way. Just like you can feel like what it's really supposed to mean, and also it's the biggest amount of like pain in that kind of way that like a character gets visibly shown on the show. Like what's it when he twists it and like it turns into like a big like.
He twists his ankle up and he turns basically like the whole rattling teeth toy and everything like that.
Yeah, just all that stuff. It's just like, and you know it's the kind of thing, right? Where it's like, this isn't the worst he's ever done. Like everyone's just looking at him like, oh my gosh, what has he done? Like what they were not seeing.
Exactly. Like even like it hits a bit more because like with my own little brother and everything like that, I mess with him in a sense. But yeah, it's never to the point where I'm basically like Eddie's older brother. Like yeah, sure, my mom will see me messing with him and like. We'll be play fighting and everything like that, and like she'll be like, "What the hell are you guys doing?" And stop. He's fucking smaller than you. I'm like, yes, but here's the thing, I had older cousins that fucked with me too, in a sense that we were all playing around and shit. Like we ended up getting hurt. I'm like, so what's the fucking big deal? And she's like, no, he's fucking smaller than you. You shouldn't treat him like this. Like, no, like brothers gonna fight. Like they're gonna play fight. But in the end of the day, they're gonna get along. I was like, it goes to the point where I'm never gonna actually be like Eddie's older brother. Like, that dude's just a piece of shit, basically. I'd kick his ass if I was in the show.
Yeah, well, I mean, everyone did kick his ass. Which is what makes it satisfying, because it's like he finally is away from his trauma and he finally gets the thing he wanted in the whole show, which is acceptance.
Yeah. Really acceptance for every single one, because that's all they really ever wanted to have some form of acceptance, in a sense, whether it be from their parents or from the kids from the cul-de-sac, mainly the kids from the cul-de-sac. So yeah, I don't know, this is like probably the last thing I want to mention, really. So like there's like maybe like a revival coming along where like the Eds are older and everything like that, and it's called Peach Creek. I don't know if you've seen it. It's on YouTube.
Yeah, well, there's also the thing about that's the big thing with the King Sister Mom too, where it's like one of the things is that the mother is trying to get with the Ed's dads.
They're all married. So
that's what I'm saying, is that the mom is trying to get with the Ed's dads, and that's like one of the big things with the connection of like the Kinkers with that. So like that's another thing that's supposed to be like in the show. Like the Kinker's mom is supposed to be, I don't know, I just saw it on like one of those like iceberg things or whatever. So maybe it's all BS, but it could be something where it's like, that makes sense though, because like the Eds wouldn't know that, because of course, like, you know, all the Eds' dads wouldn't be like, oh yeah, this is what happened with like this. They'd be like, oh, that's kind of weird. But like would make sense with the connection then, why the Kinkers would want to be with the
Eds, because the mom wants to go with their dads and everything like that.
Yeah, it's like it makes a bit more, like it kind of connects a little bit more. But yeah, I don't know, I mean, a revival would be interesting, I guess, to say that at the very least. I wonder if honestly it'd probably go in the way of, I wonder if Danny Antonucci would stick with his original idea of like the careers they'd have, which is Ed as CIO, Double D is a...
Wait, we say Ed, you mean Ed or Eddie
Ed
as a CEO?
Yeah, Ed is a CEO.
Okay.
Double D is like a science person, and then like Eddie is like some circus like scammer kind of thing.
Oh, like a ringmaster or something like that? Yeah,
so it's like, I wonder if he's gonna stick with that if it did happen, or whoever's making this thing. And then I wonder if also, what is it called? If they're gonna go with how the... what's it called? The Rugrats people are gonna like make it where it's like, no, they wouldn't become like, they wouldn't look nice. They would look like weirdos still. They look like normal people. Because I was thinking, the Rugrats people said, because there was a lot of like Rugrats if they were adult and they looked like the movie stars in the show, right? The shows would be like, oh, you know, this is movie star. They'd be like, no, they'd just be normal people. Like, stop making them look like that. The creator said.
Yeah, you mean like how it wasn't all grown up? Some sequel series to Rugrats.
Yeah, no, there was like a, what if the Rugrats were adults and they would make them look like really nice looking, like conventionally attractive, and the guy was like, one of the creators was like, no, you don't do that. Like, they just look like their parents basically, and they look like, and the parents look normal. They don't look like supermodels or whatever.
Okay. Well, no, like the thing with Peach Creek is not really like they're adults or anything like that. It's more so they're high school people. They're high school students.
Oh, that revival. Yeah, okay, I remember that one. I thought you meant the other one where they're like above 18, like they're either like they're right after college or whatever.
Oh, maybe. Like there's only two videos of this one that I found. If anything, I'll probably leave links to them in the description if I can. It's really just called Peach Creek. That's what you gotta look up. That's it. If you want to just type in Ed and Eddie Peach Creek revival type thing, you'll probably find it like that. Yeah, the only
real revival of a cartoon that was like amazing American wise, it's like a really good one is, well, obviously, but I think Batman Beyond's honestly the only one I could think of like off the top of my head where it's like, yes, that one is like,
oh yeah, how's the continuation of the Batman the animated series in a sense?
Yeah, like that one counts because that was before all the other stuff that they did with that.
Before the whole DC animated universe type stuff.
Yeah, so it was like the first foray into that. It's because I don't count like Justice League Unlimited because like, yeah, of course they do that. Where like with Batman Beyond, like that was really like something like kind of risky.
It's more like a step in a different direction, whereas Unlimited was basically just a continuation of just Justice League, but with more Justice League characters.
Yeah, like it's just kind of like season 2 in a sense. I mean, it's not season 2 because like Justice League already had a season 2, but that kind of idea.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Like I guess the example would be like Super, like Dragon Ball Z to Super, like Naruto to Naruto Shippuden kind of things. Like, yeah, they gave it a different name, but like just a continuation.
Essentially the same thing. Yeah. So yeah. If anything else, that's literally what Eddy and Eddy's all about. So we delved in some theories. We said what we like. We'll fuck Jimmy. Oh yeah, I'm just gonna say that out loud. Just fuck Jimmy. Like, fuck him completely. But yeah. If you guys want to watch it, it's on HBO Max right now. And so on and so forth. Really, just watch it. It's honestly a good show. Like, regardless of how you feel about Cartoon Network, it's a good show.
Well, it's one of the last of the cartoons. Like, it's really the end of the original Cartoon Network. And like, I do like Flapjack and Chowder, but there really was a loss of that original spark within Cartoon Network of just like, here's all these new up and coming animators. Let's see what they do. So that's when you got like, you know, Dexter's Laboratory, Powder. Well,
I mean, like, Powerpuff Girls was I want to say like probably for ending for me was like maybe Foster's Home for Imaginary Friends with their ending and stuff was what Destination Imagination. You remember that
after 2009? I thought that was before.
No, I think it was around the same time, but it showed up later than the big picture show.
Maybe. Yeah, so yeah, definitely like that was like the end though, where it's like that's the last of the block, this is the end of an era, like, and that's when you got stuff like, what is it called, CN Real and like Adventure Time, and it's like that's a new thing, that's a new era, and it's like you know, that's one of those things where you can say which one's better or worse, but it's still like different.
It's can't really it's good for what it is, but you can't really compare it to stuff like Ed and Eddy, Grim Adventures of Billy and Mandy, Foster's Home, and everything like that. You can't. It's good for the era that it's trying to go for, but you can't really compare it to how Cartoon Network was back in the day. So yeah. Well, I guess that's gonna do it for this one, guys. Just make sure, as always, share the video. Always share. Like I always say, even if you don't like my shit, you still gotta share because you never know who else might like it. Again, questions, comments, concerns, you already know what to put them. Subscribe, don't really care because you can do whatever the fuck you want. I want to do whatever the fuck I want.
Remember to check the Instagram.
That too. Check my Instagram. Everything gonna be linked in the description. Twitch, Discord, Insta. And as always, we'll see you guys next time. Bye.